going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Culture to Christ podcast. We are your hosts, Alex and Aaron. Thank you guys for joining us again today. If you haven't already, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel and then also on Apple Podcasts, also on Spotify, and then leave a review on Apple Podcasts for a future Q&A episode. Today we're going to get into a bit of the election in the United States, the politics, the political world around COVID, and then some further notes that we want to touch on. Aaron, what's going on, dude?
Different feeling today. Opposite sides. We switched sides of the table. How's it feel on that side?
I feel more intelligent on this side. I got to see now, like Omer said, your point of view. Literally.
You know, my side's more like where Rogan sits on the left side, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like I'm interviewing
You're
you.
interviewing me, yeah. But yeah, so today we're going to, I recently, obviously, lost my dog Hershey. Just want to give a prayer to her and that she's in heaven now with, people that I'm going to get into other testimonies. I don't want to give away too much, but she's in heaven now, and it's been a learning curve for me the last month, spending basically time taking care of her. It's been
How were the last moments with her? Like, describe that feeling to me.
Very surreal, kind of.
Because it happened out of nowhere too, right? Like, you weren't expecting it to happen like that, right?
No. So I got home from work, and my brother was taking care of her, and I just literally was cleaning some of her. She was on her way out. She had cancer, so her legs weren't working anymore, and her body was eating away at itself. And I was just taking care of her that day when I got home from work. She, cleaning her up, make sure she can breathe. She was breathing through her nose, so to make sure that her nose was clear of air pathways and stuff like that. And I was getting her food ready. My brother was like, "Yo, come here. She's not breathing. Like, her jaw's shut." So we went over and I grabbed her. I said, "Help me pick her up, get her on her feet. Like, we gotta open up the airways somehow. Like, I don't really know anything, right? I'm just trying to figure it out."
Yeah.
And her jaw is like clenched. She can tell she's like something happened. So I tried to open her mouth, and then like her tongue was all over the place, and I think she had a heart attack. And
that's rough.
she died in my arms, and
But it's good that you were there, because I'd rather be there than, let's say, coming home and she already passed away. I think that'd be worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You got to actually embrace like the last couple, minutes with her.
And we always want to look at what God was, showing my brother and I, and how He allowed him and I to both be there in that moment. Didn't happen when she was by herself. It happened when we were there, and even though I think it was a lesson for me as well. I think I would have handled it differently. I would have wanted to give her a goodbye, her dreaming away and sleeping and not having, I think she had a heart attack, to be honest with you. She was having a hard time breathing. So. But
don't you feel that because I talk to you all the time, you told me how much time and effort you put into, making sure she's good. So don't you can honestly say that you did everything in your power to make sure she could stay alive?
Yes.
And that's a great feeling to have.
Yeah.
Because imagine, like, if you weren't there when she passed away, you might have been thinking, "Oh, it's kind of my fault for not being there to support her." But now you can full-heartedly say that you did everything in your power to, give her the best chance.
Exactly.
That's good.
Yeah, because the weight of regret is like no other, and you can never get rid of that. You can work on it over time, but that shame and guilt of like you could have done more and you didn't, you chose not to, you chose yourself. I couldn't live with that. And, my brother did want to push my faith a bit, want to see, and the reason I took her off medications, I was like, let me give her good food, good water. I'll take her to the dog park. I'll do what I have to. You know what I mean? Like, this dog gave me so much perspective through every dark time of my life that I'm like, what? This cancer, maybe it was from my lack of giving her the right foods. She's healthy, only 10 years old, and then literally from, I guess, maybe August when she got diagnosed, she just slowly dwindled away more and more. And
so is 10 years young for a dog to pass? Like, what's the average?
For a Rottweiler, it's pretty old. I'd say maybe she would have 2 or 3 years left.
Oh, okay.
But the cancer she had, 1 in 4 Rottweilers get it. So, I was battling. It tested my faith a lot. I was really asking God, like, am I doing this right? Should I just let her go into the afterlife? But I'm like, it doesn't. my brother was telling me it doesn't seem like organic and real, right? Or like she's not telling us she wants to die. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, she wasn't saying like kill me. Dogs don't have that, right? They don't have consciousness. So I'm like, what if she just wants us to cuddle with her and hang out with her? Like, yeah, she's sore. What if she just wants us to spend time with her? So we all kind of took turns and didn't sleep a lot. And I like you said, I don't have any regrets because I did whatever I could. Whenever I had free time, it was like, hey, where's Hershey? And I just, give her water. Do you have to drink? Okay, I'll pick her up. I bring her outside. I sit with her outside, and just kind of be there for her. And yeah, it was a humbling moment. It definitely taught me a lot. Like we always talk about in life, our experiences and stuff that's real happens. We, as Christians, luckily enough, we can see where God
And
is
like
in
I
play.
saw firsthand too how like even before she was really sick, like you were always like a good like a parent to her. Like you'd always take her out on walks. Like we talked about it before how there's a lot of shitty dog owners or just like they don't care, but you were actually like every day, just by her side, taking her out for walks, feeding her, and like you would have to leave certain places like, yo, I gotta go,
And
And
I
like
have to.
that's I respect that.
And I was I was also grateful because I wasn't always the best dog owner. Like growing up, to be honest with you, she was a dog that was kind of there. And when COVID happened, and she was literally her and I were best friends twice a day because there's literally nothing to do. A lot of people deal with mental health stuff stuck in your house. You feel like you're in jail. And the best part of my day was like she was ready. Her and I were going to go for our 2-hour walk, and go see things. I'd take videos on Instagram of her going in the water and stuff. So it really grounded me to see what is really important. I was always focused on so many other things in life, and she was always there at home. And like, I know it's from people who haven't owned a dog, it can be very general. Like when someone, like we always say too, it's like babies for you and I is very general. Like, oh, it's a baby, but like I've learned obviously with my niece and nephew that when it's part of your family, it becomes so much more real.
When it's your own.
Exactly.
When it's your own to take care of, that's when everything changes.
Yeah. So I'm just very grateful for the time I got to have with her during COVID, going on the walks. And yeah, like I said, there's definitely, dog owners listening, and just understand that, it's a God-given creation. It brings a lot of love and life to people. Like imagine this world without dogs, like the amount of people that like deal with certain mental health issues, or that, if you take away dogs, like you take away an asset for some people to like just survive.
That's why it's man's best friend, right?
Yeah.
You're loyal. They're always there. They
Mhm.
sense certain things. They're just a world without dogs. I think that it'd be a lot less peaceful
Yes.
because,
Mhm.
animals bring peace to people's lives,
Yep.
right? Like I see it in you. I've seen other people.
Yeah.
So like I don't need to own one to see like the joy it brings someone like you,
Yeah.
right? And it humbles you.
Yes, 100%. And like you're right, because I would probably be a little more bitter and anger, I'd say, if I didn't have her as a perspective every single day. When my parents got divorced when I was younger, that's when I got Hershey. So she was like that positive place of happiness in a very dark time when I was younger. So she was kind of that catalyst for me, where when everything was going wrong, her and I had to go on walks. There was it was also me taking care of another living thing, which is important. I think we all get better and away from the narcissistic world we're living in by taking care of something else. But also, you have gone through some, some changes too. And, we talked about how you had a serious leg injury, and
Yeah.
God was humbling you during that time. And then only a couple weeks in, and you take something to the face. You can go into that.
Yeah. So after sprained MCL, right? Now it feels great. Back on the ice, started buzzing again, and then take a puck to the face, right off a defensive clear, 5 stitches.
Shout out to Mark. Shout out to Mark.
Mark, yeah, like it just goes to show you that even when you think everything is good in life, you can get just taken down a notch or down another level. Something can hit you by surprise, and now you gotta learn to adapt again.
And
You gotta-
how do you think you take that now, like taking a puck to the face,
Now
5
it's like-
stitches, based on like what you learned during your injury? How
it's
do you-
like
do you see
I take this any day over. If anyone has like a sprained knee or anything sprained or broken, that's way worse than getting stitches, right?
Mm-hmm.
So could be worse. You could have lost a tooth, or get high stick, have a glass eye. there's so many things that could be worse. So now
Well, you're
it's
still
just, I
so
just,
tough, man. The guys who wear visors, like I'm not tough enough to wear a visor. Like maybe my game would get better.
you can't wear a visor though because your game style.
Yes, I can't.
Like I wouldn't even want to see with a visor because I know like how different you would have to play, and like I wouldn't want to see that.
Yeah.
But like for me, it's like I always tell people you don't want to see me with a cage either because I'd be irrelevant out there. Like my peripherals, everything vision wise, I can't see the puck, can't feel the puck, can't see the play happening. I feel like I'm claustrophobic in the cage.
So maybe that's why I don't pass the puck. I just can't see peripherally, man. All I see is these bars,
You just see the net.
I just see the net. I know where the net is. Generally, I'm gonna shoot it, get the rebound, man, assist.
Say what you want though, right? The guy
Yeah.
varies.
Puck goes in the net. I think as well, if I didn't wear a cage, we wouldn't be able to do this a video. It could just have to be audio. It'd just be this guy's face is so messed up.
And you dented your cage again, right?
Oh yeah.
So do you still feel concussed right now from that hit, or you're good?
Honestly, I can't tell because I'm kind of grieving over Hershey
So it's a combination of
like,
things.
combo. And like you remember our when we had at Bobby's
Yeah.
during that time, I said why that's such a blessing that I was grieving and had a concussion
Yeah.
in that unique so
Shout out to Bobby's too for everyone in Mississauga
Yeah.
who knows the best brunch breakfast place
100%.
in Mississauga.
Right.
It's a staple.
And we talk about small businesses. You want to keep small businesses going. Got to keep going on Bobby's.
And now it's we can shout it out now because it's not as busy. But if it was no COVID during busy times, I wouldn't be shouting out because the wait times are already over an hour.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't like blowing up certain spots.
I know.
Because then everyone
Everyone
goes,
goes
and,
and we
then
can't
you
go.
end up getting effed over, right?
And then we also recapped on last couple episodes we did at Lorgomon. Shout out to Tiggs, and you guys go check out that spot. During COVID and further lockdowns everywhere. The lockdowns now are in the Halton region, taking away the hockey going on for my Monday nights. It's all to me a joke now. It's
too far now.
It's too far. It's one big joke.
You know what it is? Like what I was saying to you. I think it's because even though a lot of these regions don't have high number of cases, it's the fact that now different mayors and people in different regions are pointing fingers at each other, being like, "Oh, how if Region of Peel is locked down, how come Halton gets to stay open? How come York region gets to stay open?" So now it's like it's a competition of we should all be treated the same. It's not even about the amount of the number of cases, right?
Yep.
So
They should isolate cities, man. Okay, first of all, Peel shut down because of Brampton. Okay, Brampton is the reason.
Brampton's throwing the wedding parties were 300 people.
Yeah.
200 people. They give no fucks.
Yeah, and people in Mississauga were pretty good, and it's just and it's all
Mayor of Brampton's out there playing shitty.
playing
leaving
shitty
his
with the
bag.
boys. Yep, he's playing shitty with the boys. We talk about no. I would do the same thing though. Yeah, it's just that now it's we're putting the health and lifestyles and businesses and family living over the elderly population and people who have already pre-existing conditions.
Well, the stats are out. 40% of cases have came from old age homes. Only 4% have come from restaurants and gyms.
Yep.
So it's it's a joke.
It is. And they're going to say, "Oh, because of lockdowns, we kept things safe." No, it's not true. Okay?
The virus is here.
Yes, it's not
Right?
gonna. It's not gonna pick a city that gets close. It's not gonna go. Wow, that city's in lockdown. I'm gonna go to the city that's not in lockdown. It just doesn't know the difference. You're not gonna change if you're at home. You can get the virus. Then when you're out, you can get the virus. It doesn't matter. And
You eating outside a restaurant in a tent
in a tent,
will keep you more safe
Remember
than
at
eating
Bobby's?
inside the
it's the
restaurant.
same thing. You're still. It's the same exact thing.
So let's get these restaurants to pay $25,000 for patio gear so people can sit inside, but they're outside. So that keeps everyone safe because COVID doesn't like going in tents.
Yeah, and we know that
It's embarrassing, man.
It's embarrassing, and it's a bigger plan. It's something bigger that was planned a long time ago.
That's why I can't wait. I can't wait for that Netflix documentary that comes out that just goes
The
that
scam?
just shows
Covidicus.
everything like loose change for 9/11,
Yeah,
right? Like it always comes out sooner or later,
Yep.
and then we just look back we're like, wow.
yeah.
Oh.
And you guys listening, we want you to just do your own research. Look at the math. Look at the numbers, right? And also look at suicides. Look at drunk driving deaths. Look at murder rates. Look at all that stuff during COVID, right? And ask yourself, did COVID cause these things, right? Or was it a lockdown? My mother's friend, they have a family member that committed suicide today. Canadian boy, 14 years old. I'm not gonna get into details, but he committed suicide today and jumped in front of a subway, either train or a bus. And it's funny for me because everyone is saying, suicide, yeah, but they're already dealing with stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, COVID lockdowns, but they're already dealing with stuff. So with everyone with diabetes and heart disease.
And it's been so long now. It's been 8 months of lockdown. So
that was the point of the 8-month lockdown, to prepare. We talked about it, prepare so that you don't have to do it again. But I'm always like, man, people, and these politicians and all these things, they know what they're doing when they're going to do it. They know the date when they're doing stuff. It's a gaslight. The media is not like truth. People think the media is truth. It's not truth, right? That's why today we're getting into the politics of everything going on. Even in the U.S. election, clearly it's a big topic of fraud, all that kind of stuff, fake news.
But it's like a revolving door right now. So, when they decided to close things, it was because numbers were going up, and then they saw, okay, numbers are coming back down a little. We'll open up again. You open up again, the numbers go back up, and then what do? You close again. So you're never gonna find the perfect time, because we know the virus is here, but don't take away the people's livelihoods that They want to go on with their lives. They want to be able to go work out, go play basketball, go play hockey, go eat in a restaurant. Don't take that away from people who already know that the virus is here and are prepared to live their lives in a way that is
accepting it.
Yeah, it's it's crazy how what you said, how the people who are running our governments, running municipalities, are deciding for us what's in our best interests. How are you to tell me what's in my best interest for my mental health, my spiritual health, my physical health, all of these things? Come on, you guys are comfortable because at the end of the day, your job's secured.
Yep.
If you guys were a restaurateur on the opposite end, or you're in an industry where it's shut down, how would you be reacting?
Exactly.
But you're a politician, so what you say goes. Your job is secured. Your family's eating good.
They sit on a pedestal, right? They're equal to us, but yet the government acts like they're they're our gods. They take away our freedom of choice. Who are you to say what I can do with my free time? You're taking away my freedom. You're letting LCBO stay open the entire time, but churches get closed. You're okay with someone binge drinking, alcohol, drunk driving, living in alcohol abuse. You're okay with that, but churches, no, that's dangerous. We all know it's bullshit. It does piss me off because I used to think politics didn't matter. I don't talk about politics, but then you realize one day you might have family, you might have kids, and they got to live in a system.
I used to think like that too. I didn't care about politics until something like this happens, where you see how much of an impact they can have on your life. And then now everyone starts to wonder what's next, right?
Yeah, and what's going on, who's planning it.
And that's when it's so important, for us, having that relationship with God, where it's we always see bigger picture now.
Exactly.
This is all temporary here, and it just goes to it drives that point home even more so when you see lockdowns get extended, because they a lot of times we don't think that the government's going to lie to us when they tell us, oh, it's just for 28 days. And after 28 days, we'll open up again. But then when that day comes and they decide we're going to extend it again, you lose all hope.
Yes.
So it's we never have as much hope in the system as we do in God.
In God.
That's what I learned.
Amen. Because also too, you can take the information with the government with a grain of salt. You no longer go, I trust you, and you don't longer feel betrayed when they tell you 28 days and they don't. You just go,
you
okay,
expect it,
yeah,
kind of, right?
You're like, okay, bud, okay, yeah, 28 days. It's getting colder outside. People have been locked in, not doing anything for 8 months, so they're not healthy. And then it's gonna get colder, and it's COVID. You think people are gonna what? You're gonna do a shutdown, and then winter comes, it gets snowy. Okay, now let's open stuff up.
And it's a way of easing us into because if they came out and said 60 days, everyone would be like, not 2 months, no way. But they go 28 days, let things open up for a couple more days, and they say, okay, now we're gonna lock it down again. So basically, you're still getting a 60-day lockdown, but it was broken up into 2 parts, so society doesn't freak out.
It's the slowly pushing you off the cliff. Right? It's just slow nudges. They don't want to just, hey, I'm here to push you off the cliff so you die. It's, I'm not going to put you in a hot boiling pan of water. I'm going to put you in some cold water and slowly turn up the temperature until you don't even know you're dying anymore. right? And that's why, we have to realize is it a democracy we're living in? Do we have freedom of choice? We look at different countries around the world and why people escape those countries to come to Canada, United States, because that's what happened. They did something slowly. Take this away. We're going to take this away. Take your right to vote away. And what's going on is they're trying to build socialism in communist countries all around the world. The government is your God. Take away religions, take away faith, take away your ability to have an opinion, right?
Not even just your opinion, your ability to socialize now.
Yep.
Now you can't even go out anywhere.
Well, but you have to socialize with a mask on. Even that too, right? It's like you can only socialize a certain way.
All fear driven.
Yeah. And I didn't think my vote mattered, so I'm going to be voting, even in for Canadian politics, because you see that these politicians are all pretty much, they go where the money goes.
But now you even have to ask yourself, after seeing that U.S. election, what's up with the voting system, right? You saw how a lot of the systems they were using in the States, they ended up finding out that they were malfunctioning. People were voting for Trump and they were getting counted as Biden.
First they said malfunction,
yeah,
and then they said human error. So that and
there's a lot of different reasons, but just from analyzing that election, didn't you find that the mail-in votes for Biden were insane?
It doesn't it makes no sense that they're all for Biden.
And how does Biden have the most votes of all time in the history out of all U.S. presidents? Biden has the most votes. The guy barely even campaigned. There's no way his brand is even strong.
He can barely hold a sentence together.
Yeah, his brand isn't like Obama's, right? And he ends up with the most votes. And they also said there was dead people's votes for Biden as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this whole investigation plays out. But I always ask myself too, who's investigating? Who's leading the investigation to find out? Trump's not going to be the one that gets to see all these ballots. It's going to be the same people who rigged it in the first place.
Yes. Yeah. We know that the election's rigged. It was rigged.
100%.
They didn't want Trump to win. Trump's calling out every sick pedophile, all these rich elites. He's calling them all out because that's who he is. He doesn't give a shit about, and I think that's why I think people are so more focused on hating Trump than finding out the truth. They rather hate Trump so much than to actually investigate into who Joe Biden is, who Kamala Harris is, where do they get their money from, why are they millionaires, all these properties around the world, what business deals did they do, right? And how is this guy even getting votes who can't even hold a sentence together?
Did you see Trump? He announced that he was basically saying that he wants to pardon himself if he has to end up leaving office, which is crazy. For him to even consider doing that.
What does that mean, pardon himself?
So if once he leaves office, that he can no longer be pursued by investigators and charged with anything. So he's trying to pardon himself before he leaves office, so that basically the U.S. attorneys and the district attorneys can't go after him for any investigation.
If he pardons himself from the presidency,
if he pardons himself from any wrongdoing. So once
can he do that with his power? He actually can do that.
No president has ever done it before, but he might be the first. So that was just when I heard that, I was like, yo, that's too much. Right? You're just making yourself look so guilty. The first president to ever pardon themselves. It's crazy, but that's why it's Trump. He does these things that it's just bro. You're taking the things too far.
Yeah.
But you said, you got to be
you do. You have to be narcissistic to run for presidency. Politicians are all narcissists because they want their word to have a say. They like when people do what they say. They like the spotlight. They like to go on camera and speak politically correct. Not Trump, which is actually why people like him. Yeah, that you have to be. You like to have attention, and that's what politics is. You don't. If you actually have a moral compass and want to actually help people, you don't go into politics because there's too many backhand deals and all this kind of stuff meandering.
And they won't let you anyways.
No, they won't let you.
The people who call the shots or who have the advisory board who are putting the plans in front of you, they already have their own agendas. You're just letting it out in front of the world, right? But it's it's crazy too. Why are both candidates almost 80 years old? Why can't there be someone who's in their 40s? Or even younger than 40s. Why do you have to put a number on it where you have to be a certain age to be president?
You know what? I think about it as, I don't know. I think it as
We know
You can be-
experience doesn't just equate to your age.
Yeah, no. To me, I'm like the person. I would like a Christian to be a president or a prime minister. To be honest with
Kanye.
you,
That's
Yeah.
Kanye.
right? And yeah, sometimes like people like you said, you have to have this certain people that are. I don't think you need to be old. I think having experience, maybe having a family and kids and life, and being able to see, you've lived so many years in the world to understand what's really important. I can see why they don't elect a 30-year-old. Like 3 years I can run for president. You know what I mean? I can see someone maybe in their 40s and 50s, right? That can actually make a change, and they're not on their way out. Like Biden and Trump,
But
they're
the
in
thing
their
is,
70s and 80s.
I would like if a 30-year-old is capable, right? Like let's say his resume is, he's owned multiple successful businesses, like different ventures, right? And he's a visionary for the up and coming ways of developing societies, and just like maybe different education system ideas. He just comes from that background of not putting the burden of student debts and like huge student loans on kids coming out of college, right? Where maybe you need a young mind who's a forward thinker to progress society in a way that that it'll be more relatable to us. Because if you have someone who's like in their 50s, right? They don't always see it from the same way that we see it. And I think that all like the older generation has always had the chance to lead the country. So I think it would be like what's another 4 years of seeing a young visionary try to change the already corrupt system we have today.
If you can get rid of the elites running the world, you could do that.
Exactly, that's a problem.
Because eventually you get someone that's 30 and they get compromised because, hey man, just so you know, you actually have no say. You're just the puppet. We need you to be the face. Because that's what they do, right? That's what Barack Obama, he's black. Let's put him up there, right? He can just be the face. He'll speak so correctly. I'm going to help the world, right? And they just puppeteer him to do all these different things, right? So I'd like to see that, but it's like you have to get rid of these rich elites that no one even knows about.
That's why Kanye, because he's
self-sufficient.
Exactly.
So they can't mess around with him. That's why Trump, he's like, I can't be messed around with. Trump lost money going to office, and that's why he caused a shitstorm throughout the entire election.
But even
all
Trump,
that stuff.
he doesn't have the same background, right, and the same financial resources that Kanye has available.
So maybe Kanye is the next step.
Because people forget that Trump went bankrupt tons of times.
Yes,
owes so much
he's
money
a
to
scammer.
contract. Yeah,
Scammer. He's a fraud.
But if you look at Kanye, self-sufficient, right? Like everything that he's went into was with his own money. And even if you look at like Adidas, like his own brand with Yeezy, a lot of the ideas that he puts out, it's from his own money. Like people forget that like Adidas doesn't back him for every single thing, because if they did, they'd be like, yo, this guy's doing way too much.
Exactly.
So Kanye sometimes has to take it upon himself to be like,
But he wouldn't
I wanna
want their
pursue
control
this.
either. He wouldn't want Adidas their money, because then he would tell them what to do too. And he
Exactly.
and he learned what that's like in the music industry, right?
But he puts his money where his mouth is, like building the self-sufficient city in Wyoming, right? The Christian city, that's his money. No one's paying him to do that, The Christian university that he's starting, that's his own money. So like these are the type of things that we want to see a young visionary take office and show us like change that will actually, make a difference to the younger generation, not just the older too. Because if the biggest influence you can have is on the younger generation coming up, so that, racism, all of these injustices, all of these things that we see in the media, they're not just being told by people who are, like 50 years old.
And they're just using it to get their money and businesses funded. Yeah, I understand.
They just want to look politically correct. When you look at all of these, even all like the commissioners who run the NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, if you look at them when they talk about like the things going on in this world, it's basically just public perception. So their leagues look like, we're doing the right thing.
They're
we care
following
about
trends.
these. Yeah,
They
it's
say
like
what
they're
you
not
want to
actually
hear.
going in communities and making a difference. They don't care.
No, they say what you want to hear. It's like at Lululemon, right? They're trying to hire different people. It's like if you're trying to get rid of racism, you can't make race the basis of your decisions. It's like, people of a certain majority are getting, put in different positions. So now let's choose someone of different race or whatever. And like, that's the same thing. It's the same thing.
And that's just being blatantly obvious.
Yeah, blatantly obvious that you don't actually want to make a change. You're just trying to follow trends so you don't get sued. You're not a liability. You're just following, like we say, man, people just follow the trends so they don't get in trouble. But yeah, I can see Kanye being, I had to think about it. I watched we talked about, you and I watched the interview you had with Joe Rogan. And you can tell he's done a lot of self-reflection, I think in any position, like we said, you have to be a bit narcissistic to run for presidency because you have to have a backbone. Like, you have to like yourself so much that nobody can say anything and do anything to mess with you, right? Like, you have to really, because it's hard, right? Like, if he went for presidency, he would lose a lot more than he gains. He would lose, money, friends, family. He would get abused and attacked and bullied and threatened and death threats 10 times, 100 times fold. Like, it's not, people think like, oh, you're president, your life is just cozy. It is cozy if you're not trying to fight anything that matters, right? Like, 100% that these Democrats like Barack Obama, all these guys, like, they were chilling, bro. But when you're doing something like Kanye, I thought if Trump didn't win, like, think of this idea. If Trump didn't win and, whatever, Biden, Kamala Harris go for the next 4 years, Kanye for president, Trump for vice president.
That'd be crazy.
How crazy would that be?
But like,
that would be a sweep. That would be a sweep.
If the voting system was 100% legit,
they fix it. They fix it. No mail-in votes. You got to show up.
But you know what I even think about the mail-in ballots? I think that in-person vote should count as 2. It's more legit.
If you're gonna take a risk, yeah, because COVID.
In person is like legit. You have your ID there, right? You're there in person. All these mail-in votes, like, when you just look at the numbers of how many came in last minute, and you just see like how so many of the ballots, right, in like especially the swing states, they only had Biden marked. They didn't fill out the rest of the the voting.
Yeah.
So like, how suspicious is that? If like 90% of the ballots just have Biden and none of the other candidates are selected, bro, what is that?
It's a
Like, that should
scam.
be voided.
Exactly. That's why when you guys can do your research, I can give my opinion, but I think that the mail-in votes they planned it a long time ago because they believed Trump did have influence and Trump had a chance to win again. So they said mail-in votes because it's hard to add in votes with people, right? Like, how can you, people get watched. How can you get somebody to put it in twice? You can't, right? So it's like, if we do mail-in votes, we then can control what goes in, what gets submitted. And I think what happened, what they're saying is, I believe it, so you guys can check it out yourselves, but they didn't assume Trump would be ahead so much, or they didn't think that he would be winning by so much. So what they had to do is go, oh, fuck, like, he's killing us. We got to get more mail-in votes. Like, let's freeze. And that's why all of a sudden overnight, Biden got 100,000 votes and Trump got 0.
And who's going to, when there's those astronomical numbers, who's going to verify each ballot? Like, you know how much time to verify the ID of each person? They're not doing that. I don't care what anybody can tell me. Put yourself working in the same situation of verifying ballots now. If I'm getting a stack of like over 100, I'm doing it. I'm like, okay, this is okay. I'm not cross-referencing signatures and all that bullshit.
I know.
Right? This is the most votes of all time that have ever, in the history of the U.S. election, this is the most votes ever for both candidates.
Well, they should make that a high-paying job. Counting votes?
You know what I saw? So one of the girls who was working in the voting center, she had her own business flyer hanging off of her desk for promoting her jewelry business. So I was like, how unprofessional is that? Like, this is the girl who's in charge of, and it's a jewelry business. It's on World Star too. When you go to it, so me and my brother were watching, like, what the fuck? This girl's actually allowed to promote her own business. We searched it up, and everyone just spamming her, saying that, what the fuck is this? You can't be promoting your own business. You're working the election, and like everyone trying to be like, yo, don't buy from this person, don't buy jewelry from her. But it just goes to show you how much of a joke it is. Like, it's like you putting RF or we're putting culture.
I know you're voting. I know you're voting, but just can you just buy a hoodie real quick?
Like, that just makes you just think like, yo, like, this is a joke. If you can do that, of course you can, rig things, and like, it's not professional.
It goes maybe like, now I think, like, how many other elections were rigged? How many other elections?
So many, especially without social. Now it's amplified because of social media.
Yeah.
But like, I tell people, imagine back when 9/11 happened, we had Instagram and Facebook and all these things to expose this. It'd be a nightmare, a disaster for Trump for Bush and his whole team. Because imagine people who were in the building in 9/11 in World Trade Center filming stuff, being like, why are bombs going off? Right?
Jeez.
Or like those people who were so-called on the planes, right? That were hijacked. Now you have a phone, you could easily be recording what's going on. That goes into iCloud.
Posting it, doing all these things.
That would not be able to fly. That's in 9/11. If they can, sometimes the biggest, most elaborate schemes, right? people they don't pay attention to because they're like they think that's a man, you think it's possible to stage 9/11? Like it's so big. But sometimes they have to make it that dramatic. So people are like COVID
Wow. Yep.
and this election. So people are just like, no, like it's legit. Like they're not go you think someone will put in millions of fake votes? It's impossible.
Yep.
But the most elaborate like schemes
Are
go
usually-
unnoticed.
And I think people, because they're so comfortable, like some people you talk to are like, they just can't believe evil happens. Like, like they would never do that. It's like, you're out to lunch. Like, you're out to lunch. You think the world's like what, like rainbows and cupcakes?
Yeah.
Like the real world? Like you live in your safe haven. Like you're in a relationship, you're cuddly up, you're living in Canada, you're all comfortable, you got your Netflix and popcorn, and you're watching all these movies. Like,
They'll be like, you think Epstein would have an island just to,
Yeah.
sexually abuse girls? Like, no way.
No,
You think he would fly there?
presidents are nice. Presidents don't do that. They try to help people. Yet, you have what's the president called? The Clintons.
Yeah.
Why haven't they ever been arrested and charged for anything they've ever
Because
done?
Epstein's dead now, so he
Right?
can't testify.
Are the FBI informants? Who do we know? Or, like it's, that's why for me it's like people, I honestly want Trump to win. I want this whole Biden president. First of all, the president-elect is not a thing. Like he's not actually the president, and like the president-elect is kind of like we won kind of for now, and we're gonna, they're making all these things like the media in the United States, probably in Canada as well, is run by these elite billionaires, and they play a narrative. They just want you to play the narrative. So if you're listening to this and your parents or whatever, they grew up, you and I talked about it. If you grow up, I think technology changed the world because, that's what they're trying to get control of these social media apps and censor it like they do in the news because they don't want people to wake up to what's going on around the world.
And that's why Twitter is always deleting.
Yep.
They're always doing sweeps of anything that's controversial, or they'll say this is fake news or this is untrue.
Yep.
So a lot of people who are trying to expose like different things about the election that were actually working in stations, their Instagram posts were getting deleted as
Yep.
soon as they posted.
Remember the COVID cure and stuff I posted and all got taken down?
Yeah,
Why don't they just let people listen and make a decision?
it's crazy, man.
Because it's not, the news stations are no longer about truth. It's about controlling a narrative to get certain people, businesses, money.
It's what those platforms believe.
Yes.
That's
Propaganda.
what is allowed to spread.
Yep.
If it's against what they believe, it's getting taken away.
Getting taken away. But it's amazing because, there's such hypocrisy with all these ideologies forming that everyone who's been a victim at some point in their life, they can say whatever they like. They can do whatever they'd like. People that believe in, let's say, in the United States, they call it the leftists, the left, and people that are liberators and don't believe in any real moral compass. You can be whatever gender you want to be. It's like they like that there was riots and stuff like that. Yet when it's like when they get what they want and then peace comes, they want everyone to just be quiet. Let this time go. It's all good. It's like there's such this real war between being righteous and I'm trying to think what the other one would be called. Yeah, it's narcissistic, but people don't care about being righteous anymore. Like care about their fundamental values, their character anymore. It's now just what can I get from something? What can justify my actions? And the world is getting to a place, even in Canada, we see like it's so real now with everyone in lockdown. Like use this time and opportunity to really do research on this world we're in, like who's running it, why these things happen. Think about these things because, Aaron and I talk about our lives and going forward and where we want to go into heaven and, who's really in control, right? We can't be thinking like, look at this government, they're so good or they're so bad. It's like, it's neither or. It's kind of like, yeah, do your research so you're not stupid, so you're not living in ignorance, but understand what's really coming. It's going to be, this lockdown is going to continue. I think it's going to continue for months because I don't think what they opened up during a freaking January winter storm cold in the United States and Canada.
If Trump won, right, he would have opened things up a lot quicker. Like
and then,
he called
and then there'll be a civil war. What do you think the left side would have done?
But so take it in. When Biden won, right, if you look at all like his supporters who went out to the streets to celebrate, right, there was like hundreds of thousands of people that went out to celebrate Biden's win, right? even though a lot of them did have masks on, but still, you're basically going against everything that he said to you guys because he was promoting the whole time, social distant, wear a mask, and you guys all went out there to celebrate with each other his win.
Yep.
Right? It's hypocrisy. It's a contradiction.
Yep.
So but CNN and all these news stations will still cover it, being like,
Yep.
"Oh, look, they're all happy that Biden won." But if it was Trump supporters, they'd be like, "Oh, look at these guys. They're not social distancing.
How could they do this? Look how evil they are. They don't care." That's why it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's and even Biden, right? They picked someone who had tenure in vice presidency, right? And they always say like he's been in politics for over 40 years and hasn't done a thing. Right, and he passed a bill that put people in jail longer term, and they say what they did is they plop him in there because Biden has he's under investigation because his son, who was a crack addict until he was 40, had no teeth. He basically made his son a pawn to make millions in deals around in Ukraine, and it's crazy because everything that people try to accuse Trump of his last 4 years is what Biden has done, and he continues to do. This is all facts, people. You can do research on it, listen to different podcasts. That these like I think he's also a pedophile, to be honest with you. I watch these videos of him touching kids and stuff like that during videos.
Disturbing. I saw
very disturbing, bro. Anyone touches, if I had anyone I knew, not even my daughter, if I knew a person that was being touched like that, I'd be like, hey bro, you want to move your hand before I break it? Like you want to stop groping,
touch their hair too, right?
Sniffing them like they're like, yo, bro, what is wrong with you?
That's so weird.
And I just know that these politicians that are, I know sickos in the world. I know guys I know that are freaking creepy to me. So I can imagine that someone that grew up in the States, politician, wants money because these guys don't get paid a lot, right? They get paid 6 figures, but where does all these millions come from? Where do these big houses come from, right? And if it blows my mind that, I understand, politics, whatever, Trump, Biden, this, that. It's like, if you hate Trump, you have to hate him just as much. You have to not want him just as much.
And, a lot of people, that's not even they liked Biden. It's just they didn't want Trump to win. They hate Trump so much, so they wanted anyone but Trump. So, like, I wouldn't want to support someone that I that I don't even want to be president just because I dislike someone. You know what I'm trying to say? And I think people do that a lot in life too. So they don't want to support someone that, that they hate. So they just pick anything else besides that. Right. And I think that mentality it's kind of backwards because it's like you're giving your support at the end of the day to someone like Biden who you don't even like, but you're voting for him because you don't like Trump. Right. And you got to ask yourself, why don't you like that person? Right. And even if you don't like Trump, I can see why people don't like Trump too, because he's he says stupid things, he's arrogant, right? Like there's a lot of flaws against him too. Like there's flaws against anybody, but I'd rather, like we said from the start, I'd rather have a president who's honest, right? Who can say something like, "Yo, COVID is a hoax," who can call things out and is not scared. He's not the cookie cutter type of president, right? It's like, and that's why, like, I would have voted Kanye because I want someone who's younger. I want someone who's, who he said he's putting God first in his decision making. It's not self-interest. Like we know Trump, a lot of it's self-interest because he's a businessman. Like he has a lot of entities to protect, right? He doesn't want to get sued when he's out of office. There's a lot of different revolving doors behind the scenes. But with someone like Kanye, who, he puts his life out in front of the world and all of the struggles and all of the different times where people tried to cancel him, he's battled through it, where it's like, how much worse could the U.S. be if Kanye was president compared to Trump? Like, I don't see how much worse it could be than what it is right now. Right now, if you look at it, it's crazy down there.
I honestly think it would get better. Like, Trump made it better. If you look at unemployment rate and all that stuff, Trump made it better.
But
people don't like facts.
People will say that on the opposite. Okay, yeah, the markets rose and everything, but our country is more divisive now.
Who makes it? That's what I always say. Who makes it divisive? Who's funding and who's funneling money? Because
they say like a lot of the things that he says causes uproar, and he when he was in support of like KKK members. There's different things, right? Where
he's always said I denounce that. How many times does somebody want to say I denounce it? It's like I think a lot of times the money and the TV, whoever owns the media stations are funneling money. They said even during the election, like Biden got so much more, never got censored. All his stuff is being seen over like 90% more than Trump's stuff. So it's like, who's pushing the narrative, right? Yeah, divisiveness. Who's running BLM, right? It's not Black Lives Matter. It's a Black Lives Matter movement. It's a Marxist movement that a big rich white guy started.
But people
Right?
also they didn't like his whole slogan, the "Make America Great Again," because they felt that it had racist connotations with it. So a lot of people, they felt that it was he wanted, like, the underlying message of "Make America Great Again." People felt that it was "Make America White Again." Like, that's what, like, the black community felt.
And that's why it's only parts of the black community, because there's only people. There's a lot of black
that do like
people
Trump,
that
of course.
support him because
Yeah.
they look at policies, they look at the fruits. So like you made a good point about culture. Like we talk about culture to Christ. Culture says hate somebody, like hate someone more than you love somebody. Like we're called to love our neighbor, love our enemy. So for me, when Trump first got elected, I was pissed. When I was younger, I was all my feelings and emotions. This guy's racist. This guy says bad things. He's an idiot. He doesn't care about people. Doesn't speak politically correct. All that stuff. I grew up my life, started becoming Christian in my life, starting to see the fruits of somebody's work. So yeah, I don't like how they speak, but like, what are their efforts? Like, what are their efforts producing, right? And
I like that he's more personable too.
yeah,
Like, the way
he
talks.
relates to culture. Think about it. He's the first president that would actually tweet stuff out, and you actually feel like you can connect to your president. Where before, your president's kind of just on TV. You only see him on TV, on press conferences, and what else is he doing, bro? And that's why everyone's like, yo, Barack Obama, this guy bombed countries. Like, everyone's like, yo, Barack Obama's better. How? Trump didn't bomb any countries.
And
Trump signed peace deals in Israel. But
and
we got
people are trying to blame COVID on him. Like, he
bro, this
didn't
virus
start
started in
this.
China.
Yeah.
You can't blame it on anybody.
And,
What are
like,
you
he wanted to open up the economy. He wanted businesses to survive, and now, like, Biden is promoting the opposite. He wants, everything to get locked down. He wants safety first. He wants, masks, all this, like, once again promoting fear-based culture.
Yes, he
right.
doesn't
And that's what I don't like.
Exactly.
It's
Doesn't
like,
talk about
we've
what
been
you
in
can
this
do
for
for your life.
8 months. It's gonna be a new year in 2 months, and they're still talking about extending lockdowns, and like, it's ridiculous now.
They don't talk about how you can live your life with the virus around. They don't talk about how you can get exercise still and do this. They don't, like we said, culture, media, they don't talk about faith. They don't talk about the truth. They don't talk about the way, right? And culture really amplifies hatred. It's never about proving yourself right and doing great things. It's about talking about how your enemy is wrong, right? You look at the elections, they always talk about how the other person's awful, right? Not what they really want to do in righteousness, but how these people are scammers, evil, he's racist, he's a bigot, he grabbed a girl by the vagina, that's whatever Trump said in the background, whatever, all these different things in the past. And I try to tell people, like, I did bad things in the past.
But at least Trump is open about, about what he does with women to an extent. Like, obviously, we don't know all the details, but I haven't seen a video of Trump doing what Biden was doing to little girls.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, you can't show me that. So, people who are trying to say, oh, Trump, he's a pedophile, or he's he abuses women, right? Look at Biden, too. If he can do that in the open with young girls, imagine what he's doing behind closed doors. Right,
and he's corrupt. Okay, I'm telling people right now, he's corrupt. He's got deals with people around the
every
world.
politician is corrupt. Doesn't matter
Yes.
who it is.
Yes.
They all have self-interest.
Exactly.
It's part of the job. You don't become president by being the cleanest person on earth. Obama too. All of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's if you don't have God at the center of your own life, it's easily, like, you can get easily manipulated, and
You're literally
your
swayed.
your mood depends on what
Yes.
you're seeing on TV.
Yes.
And I would never want that feeling to be like, oh damn, this is happening, so now my day's ruined, right? Like, you got to see bigger picture than that.
Yes. I think it's the world. You talk about the world very sensitive now, because like you said, you don't have a foundation of Christ, which humbles you and gets rid of your feelings and emotions. You still have feelings and emotions when you're a Christian, but they're controlled and they're under the guidance of Christ, so that when they come, they actually matter. Like, they're feelings and emotions that actually are about taking care of someone you love. Taking care of my dog that was passing away. Like, those are real feelings and emotions. Like, if you're living life constantly getting triggered by social media posts, you have a problem.
Yeah.
You're a simp.
That's why the people who comment, like, man, to waste your time and comment towards every, like, social social or political driven event you see on your timeline, like I still follow Six Buzz, right? Sometimes I see the same people commenting about like the same stuff nonstop. I'm like, bro, to have the time to respond to everything that Six Buzz is posting, because he does like political driven stuff.
Yeah.
He does things in the city, but like some people, like, bro, to sit there and waste your time commenting on that is crazy. Okay, once in a while I get it, but sometimes I see the same people for every post.
Yep.
It's like, bro, like you guys are on your phone nonstop, right? And that's what it is though, because now with COVID, you take away people's social gathering time and social activities.
All the stuff.
It's your phone or TV,
Yep.
or like.
And you're also building a lot of more anger and resentment and bitterness, right? Because you don't have your outlets. So now it's just like you want to get angry at somebody because everything's taken away that you like, right? So you just want to get mad at somebody, and
the world's fucked, man.
yeah. Even when I do
right now,
like,
it's crazy.
it's just I think even the phones, right? I think a lot of people that are not self-driven, motivated, and want to build a life, be their own leader. Now they have like a voice, right? Like now they can leave comments and stuff. When those people in real life will never say a word to you. So like social media, all this different kind of stuff. Everyone is like hypersensitive to everything. Even this podcast, we swear, and we're trying not to. Like I try to focus on it, and Christians are getting triggered when I'm swearing. They can't listen to it anymore. It's like, you know what? Look at the heart of the person speaking, what they're trying to do, and not the fact that this guy said the F word. Like that's how sensitive this world is now, right?
Yeah.
You don't think I pray and have repent and I'm talking about Christ on a podcast. You think I'm just doing it for clicks? I'd be doing the complete opposite thing. That's what I think. Whole Christianity is not popular.
And it's
like,
cancel culture.
It's cancel.
Right? Everyone likes to point the finger.
Yeah. Well, that's why shout out to Remembrance Day. All our fallen soldiers in Canada that actually sacrificed their life.
And shout out to Don Cherry.
Don Cherry,
man.
baby.
Everyone forgot about Don Cherry.
Yeah.
When he was actually ahead of his time. Because every time he would call something out, right, it'd be what media was going to cover later. He was just first to it.
Yep.
So when he was talking, if people who are listening don't know, Don Cherry, he is one of the biggest faces of hockey.
The
especially
biggest.
I'd say the biggest face of hockey in terms of entertainment, in terms of commentary,
knowledge,
just analysis.
He coached in the NHL. He knows hockey, breathes it, cares about the community.
So for people who don't know, he got canceled because last year on Remembrance Day, he was telling everyone. He said, "You people should you guys love coming to our country." He's talking about Canada. He's like, "You people love coming over to our country, but you guys don't support our veterans. You guys should go and buy a poppy." So people got offended because him saying "you people," they were like, "Oh, Don's talking about immigrants. He's trying to call out immigrants by saying you people come over here and don't support our veterans and don't buy a poppy," right? Meanwhile, they don't know that Don Cherry, he's been saying this for so many years about support our
every
veterans,
year
right?
he says it every
year he emphasizes on buying poppies. And you have to understand that Don Cherry, he's always at a grassroots level, so he's always in minor hockey rinks. He's always giving his time there. Like I remember when I was playing when I was younger, I'd always see Don Cherry at the rink supporting,
sitting by himself, minding his business, watching the youth play hockey. He cared. Like he wasn't a Showtime guy. Give me the TV screen. Let me talk political. Ron McLean ride coattails. He's like, I'm gonna do my thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, the whole thing. He's right. You people wear a poppy.
It should be all.
It means people
right?
who aren't wearing a poppy.
Yeah.
I don't know how you change that. I don't know how you go from you people. He meant this, that. It's like, this country we have these freedoms because guys were taking bullets in different countries. For our freedom. Like you have the ability to get a job and make an income and have a family because guys went to war, shooting shots, getting blown up. So in honor of that, as you live in this country, you move to this country because you wanted to escape a country that didn't give you those freedoms. You put on a poppy, you say, thank you to be Canadian.
Yeah, and
That's it.
if I was an immigrant too, I wouldn't even be offended or triggered by him saying that because I would know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Like I'd be like, yeah,
Empathize.
he's right.
Empathize. Wait,
He's
how
right.
old is he? 85. When was he born? Maybe he had friends, family members that were in wars, fighting in, you know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
he probably in so many different hospital beds, seeing guys pass away that went to just, I wanted the freedom. You know how much bravery it takes to go suit up like that and be in the military and take bullets, and people the fact that he got his job taken away, and first of all, hockey in Canada is not the same anymore. Hockey night in Canada, it's absolutely brutal. with people who have. And the thing is too, it's everything's politically correct. Where Don Cherry just said what he thought, which is why people listen to him.
And because of that him saying that now has ruined Hockey Night in Canada for everyone, because now like it's not the same. So you chose to eliminate probably the one person who cares about hockey and kids
And
playing hockey
Canadians.
the most in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's done so much for the sport in terms of like just growing it, supporting minor hockey, always being there at OHL Cups. Like
Yep.
this guy, you don't see any other person doing it as much as Don Cherry does across Canada, right?
Yep.
So because of what he said, you would now cancel him because why? Because you got some uproar from people who don't even give a fuck about hockey like Don Cherry
Don't
does.
even care about the
So
sport.
it's like
People love hating. People get they funnel their life on hating and emotions. Like they don't even know anything about Don Cherry, nothing about the sport. They look at something on the news channel or whatever's clickbait on Six Buzz, and they just it's I don't even know what to call them. It's just hate.
you think you're eliminating a problem when you're creating a bigger problem.
You're creating
So that's what happens a lot. So the people that get canceled, they end up removing someone who, people like. I get. Okay, it depends why you're getting canceled, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's always context. Like if
Yes.
you you rape a girl or you something, okay, you deserve
Committing crimes, yeah,
you
we
murder
get it.
someone, okay.
Yeah.
But for what Don Cherry said there, you ruined the basically. He's someone that when I was younger, like when I started playing hockey at 7 or 8,
Mhm.
I looked at Don Cherry the same way some people looked at Alex Trebek, or they looked at the
Rest in peace, Alex Trebek as well.
So he was basically hockey's Alex Trebek. Like he's that face
Yes.
of when you turn on the TV, that's what you see.
Right, his whole thing in the starting thing. Yep.
So now because you eliminated now Don Cherry, you've eliminated the chance for me and many other people to tell the younger generation about his legacy and what he means to minor hockey.
Yep.
Because now when Don Cherry goes into a minor hockey rink, which he probably doesn't even want to go to now, because everyone's just going to be talking shit about him, or being like, oh, this is the guy he said the thing about the poppy. So now you're making his legacy about that one thing he said, rather than this is the guy who cares about developing players.
Yes.
And putting in time to see kids develop.
Yep.
Right?
He puts in the real work, but we want people that say nice things on camera.
Yeah, it's
The world rather have someone say the right things on camera and then do fuck all, and then either I'm not gonna get it. Yeah, you know what? They rather have someone that says nice things on camera and is a pedophile, sycophantic, losing their minds, or but they hate the person that doesn't say the right thing, but yet spends all his hours at rinks. Those aren't his kids. Spend all and helping kids, talking to coaches in the NHL, helping players. Like this guy talking to veterans. He does so many things for the veterans in this country as well that have sacrificed their life. And you have people who have no idea who he is.
And you know what I don't like? How the reason why we wanted to talk about him today was because now you don't even hear his name at all. Nobody talks. Even on the media, everyone's just scared to talk about it. So it's no, I want to talk about Don Cherry. So now
all the
people,
Karens in the world.
Yeah, and we want people to know that just because
He's a
someone
legend.
cancels you, it doesn't mean that you have to be scared to support that person just because now people are going to think, oh, you support the guy that got canceled. I'll support who I want to support always.
Exactly.
I don't let media, or I don't let people try to influence my decisions on who I like and who I can see beyond certain things.
Because they stand for something.
Yeah,
You're saying
and not only that, because if I was in that position where he was, I wouldn't feel that I did anything wrong. I'm telling people, I say you people buy a poppy. It's immigrants, it's non-immigrants, everyone,
everybody.
right? It's everybody.
Yeah. He literally
And
said,
I wouldn't be offended if I was an immigrant. If I came into to Canada and he said, you people come that you love our services, you love our freedom, but you don't buy a poppy, and if I didn't buy a poppy, I'd be like, you're right. I should be. What's 25 cents or 50 cents to buy a poppy? It's nothing, right? But it's that what he said there cost him and cost everyone else
generations,
what they
man.
look forward to watching intermissions.
On a Saturday night, man.
It's crazy.
That's
man.
a big memory for me. Me, my dad, Saturday night hockey, the Leafs were playing. After the first period, Don Cherry's coming up. And everything he always said was coming to pass, bro. He would just spit out real things about the game, He wasn't trying to be, you know, what does the media want to say? Ron McClain trying to keep him on track. Shut up, Ron. Like straight up, shut up. You know. And also too, he kept his buddy in his job. He could have been doing it on his own.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, let's talk about how he could have been. He was going to be let go, and Don said, you know, if I'm doing this, he's my man because we're boys. You know, I want you. If you want to keep me around, you hire Ron. You keep him around. He was going to get fired for something or something he did, or he wasn't good enough.
They were going to let him go because they didn't want to extend his contract. And Don said no. He said, if you want me to stay with CBC, you got to keep Ron here because they've been together for over 30 years, right? So he had that loyalty towards Ron. And then when that thing happened to Don, and Don expected Ron to be there for him, he fell back and said, you know what?
Ron's a coward.
I understand why they're upset at him. He basically threw Don under the bus. And then Ron kept his job, and he's still with Hockey Night in Canada.
Sucks.
But Don is away, and no one talks about him. So now imagine how sad Don feels, right? Like, that's the quickest way to kill him as like an 80-year-old man, taking away the one thing he's passionate about.
And loves and cares about.
The only thing he cares about, hockey.
Yep.
Now you took that away from him.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
I think what I hear is that some people care more about the message and what they care about people think about them. You know, Don was caring more about the message, like what mattered in Canada, than what he looked like on camera. I think that's powerful. Like, it's good to know that, you know, it's people are they tend not to listen to the message anymore because of the messenger, because they don't look like the way they like somebody to look. They don't, you know, they don't have the right language, the skin color. They're not the same religion. It's like, but what is the message? What's the foundation of the message, right? Where Ron never gave his opinion on camera. He's always just like, yep, following Don. Okay, Don, we got to talk about this. And then you see him now. He's just like, yep, we're going to go here. And like now he's kind of running the show, but he just sucks, man. And someone that like had your back for 30 years, like, Ron, we knew you were partying, getting drunk in the bars. We knew you were playing puck at Oakville Canland. Like, we knew you were drinking, doing all these different things when the cameras weren't on, and Don was actually having a family and stuff and taking care of the rinks. Like, but yet, because on camera he doesn't look as good as you, and then you throw him under the bus because you're afraid.
He's more real on camera than you. That's
what straight up, yeah, more real, 100%.
And we know in this world, the more real you are, the more hate you'll get.
Yes.
100%. The more people who feel offended by you, they look at you as you're a threat.
Yes.
Even though you could just be pursuing things for your family or for your loved ones. But, however, if it's not in someone else's favor,
yes,
they see you as a threat and they'll start to hate on you. You know, that's when they start to try to take you down, or they like to start rumors about you. Mm-hmm. Even though you can not even be paying attention to that person too, because you could be so far into doing your own thing and trying to grow something, being passionate about your own business, your own side hustle. But then you have these certain people who, because they think that, oh, this person, I see them doing well, let me go and throw some shade. Let me go on a fake account and try to throw shade at them, or let me try to tell other people negative things about this person when you're not even on their mind. Like, and that's the world today, because the world likes to magnify on people's faults, and it's that competitive nature that people feel like, I gotta one up this person. You know, I can't even be real with you to share my own expressions or my own thoughts, because I don't even want that interaction with you. Because half the time when we interact with each other, we get offended, or that person feels like, oh, this person's trying to talk down to me, even though it's like, bro, like, everyone's so hypersensitive these days.
Yes.
Because that's what's going on in media. Mm-hmm. Like, we see everyone having to apologize, putting out statements, having to be like, oh, I apologize for saying this. I shouldn't have said it this way. Even though deep down, they're not really sincere about that apology, because why should they be apologizing? Yeah. They're only apologizing to basically save their job, or to save face in front of the media.
Mm-hmm. And I always ask, why do you think people are like that? Why do you think people, because you like wanting up, for me, it's like, you can
insecurity. It's insecurity. That's what it is.
And I think it's because the world and the system lies to people, telling them how they need to act to be successful, how to fall in the system, to fit in, to be liked. Where I'm not trying to be liked. Like, you don't try to be liked. It's the difference between being liked and respected, right? People will respect you and I because we're not trying to be liked. We're going to be in our own lane. And I think people are triggered when they just follow the system their whole life. They've tried to done everything right, make sure everyone likes them. They don't make a mistake. They don't give their opinions. Don't say anything that might be against the current mainstream narrative. And then you're always liked. And the second you see someone living in their own life and pushing out their own thing, it's like, hey, hey, what are they doing over there? They're not saying things right. Trump is a racist. Don Cherry said you people. What does he mean by you people? It's like,
you know what that goes down to? How we talked about in the start, how different mayors, they're trying to be like, oh, how come your region isn't locked down, right? And ours is, or why is our region, how come you guys are allowed to have more people, in a restaurant than ours? Because it's all about pointing fingers now.
Yep.
Everyone's so worried about others instead of themselves,
Yep.
where it's like, I think that people, it's an insecurity problem. And it's almost like
I think
it's
also around the narcissism. I think it is narcissism. People don't think it's like, because I think it is because like, I think people have a hard time.
You know what it is? I read a quote and it goes like, people would rather sink the ship because they're not captained. So they'd rather everything go down if they can't be captain, rather than just being on the ship. Let someone else, lead the ship properly and you can survive.
Yeah.
Some people have so much pride where they'd rather just everyone go. If I'm going down, everyone's going down with me.
Yeah.
Right?
Because I'm not either willing enough to become a leader eventually, put in the sacrifice, put in the suffering to do that I'm just going to try to take someone down with me.
Or just play your role.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to be Jordan. Everyone's trying to be Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, sometimes you just got to play your role for the greater goal.
Exactly.
And too many people, they don't like to do that.
Yeah.
They want the spotlight on them.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can't be that guy, everyone's going down. We're
Very
sinking the
true.
ship.
Yep.
It's a sad way to live because that mentality will apply to everything. It'll apply to how you deal with your family, right? If you're trying to compete with different siblings for attention,
Mm-hmm.
it'll apply to your workplace. Being like trying to get brownie points from your boss, or trying to be like, I should be the next I should be getting that promotion because I want to be manager next, right?
Yep.
It trickles down because people are insecure deep down, right? Like if you always have to be looking what other people are doing, so you can either hate on them or you can be like, you're not doing this right. So like it's sad, man.
You and I know
It's
this so
crazy.
well because I personally had insecurities. I used to be narcissistic in very sense. So when I got into the Word of God, my faith, he got rid of all that stuff. Because he really goes, oh, you think this world's for you? You think everyone has to give you things, and like if you don't get things, it's someone else's fault? Like I always tell people, the world is narcissistic. The foundation of it is like love yourself. If you believe in ideology, if you believe in like a certain way, you're a narcissist. That's the way it is. If you come to God and actually have a faith, it literally tells you to die to yourself. Like you have to die to yourself, and whatever your ego and what your parents told you were, even if they loved you or they hated you, all of it, it's a lie. Like this world is based on the sin, the devil, all that kind of stuff. And if you, I know if someone doesn't have a faith, they're not like faith driven, religious, I automatically know like
Who's their God?
who's their God.
Themselves,
The devil, it's their flesh, whatever appeases what they need. And I know that because I was that. Because I lived a life like that for so many years until God had to intervene.
Even myself, before, I always had to, dress up. If I was going out in public, I'd have to be fresh, because I'd feel that, if I'm not fresh, then, people, they look at me because they know my Instagram, and they when they think of my account, they think like, this guy always has gear.
Yeah.
So that actually like influenced my everyday life of just, even when I was in university, I'd be like, I have to have gear on. Like I couldn't just go, in just sweats. I'd always have
And
to
be chill.
Yeah. And that goes to show you that at that time, I felt I was my own God because, everything was for my own ego, for, proving my own self-worth to others. And and a lot of people still do that today because when they feel that if someone's looking at me, I need them to see me through my social media lens first.
Yes.
Right? And I don't want this person to think that, oh, this person, like, he's not really like that in real life. I see him on social media, but in real life, he doesn't really have it like that. Right? And I know what it's like to feel that.
Yes.
And until I came to God, and then I realized, like, my only worth is how God sees me at the end of the day, right? How he dictates if I get into heaven or not. That's what it comes down to. Brands aren't going to help me get their followers, money, all that. It doesn't get you in, right?
No.
So like that's what it comes down to, like living for temporary or eternity. You can't live for both, right? You can try to balance it, but it doesn't work because
doesn't work.
the scales always tip.
Yes.
Right? You can try to as much as you want. Be like, oh yeah, like today I'm gonna be putting God first, and then tomorrow you go like, no, today I'm gonna be, living in sin.
Yep.
And if you keep going back and forth, you end up only confusing yourself.
So
and the
confused.
devil just needs that one chance.
Yep. One chance, one slip up where like, I drink and then I start driving and then I get pulled over for drinking and driving. It's like I never do this. It's
Hey,
like,
remember we talked about the Halloween in the
let's
Halloween
get into
episode?
that. Right? So the Halloween episode, everyone's, like, oh, come on, bro, don't take it seriously. It's just Halloween. Nah, bro, no big deal. It's like, nah, it's just chill. It's like Christians do have Halloween. It's like, no, you cannot. Because we always say things don't matter until it happens to you, right? And it literally on Halloween night in Quebec, in Canada, a man dressed up like Jack Sparrow or some kind of knight with a sword, and he killed, I think, 3 or 4 people and wounded 10 to 20. Basically went on a rampage on Halloween night, and people lost people that they loved, lost loved ones because a guy realized, who knows, because of COVID lockdown, because of his demons, whatever he was doing, he had the opportunity to dress up so no one would think a thing. Oh, look at this guy. He's a pirate, or, he has a sword and stuff. And he went on a rampage. Police everywhere. So rest in peace, those people. It's awful to hear that, but it's not ironic.
And there was another guy in Belgium who he dressed up as Rambo, and then he went and started shooting people, right? Luckily, only one person got hit, and then but he didn't die. But still, he started shooting people because he was dressed up as Rambo, and he went into some like food district, right? Some like cafeteria or whatever. But
Wow.
you see how they use Halloween as a day where they can dress up. Like you said, it's an opportunity
Yep.
for them to commit evil crimes. And if that day didn't exist or it wasn't celebrated, like they wouldn't be able to even attempt to do that.
Nope.
And like we said, so remember when I was asking you, I was like, what about the people who say, oh, it's just one day we can dress up? That's all the devil needs. He needs one day to change someone's life forever. And then now that family is always impacted.
Impacted, man. Like everyone changes. Like who knows what the impact of that family's like. Like,
But it's just funny how we said that, right? We were talking about it, and that same I think maybe a day before we recorded or day after, it happened.
yep. And you and I are not surprised because when like I always said, Bill, when you believe in Jesus Christ and God and like something that's not seen, everything in life is like it's not surprising. You've talked about that, how things aren't even surprising anymore, because we know evil's out there. We know that this world's not based on real, good, loving things. We aren't good. Our God is good, and I don't even want to be like, I told you so, because it's awful. I told you, look, killers on Halloween. No, it's awful, right? Like I don't want somebody else who may be listening not to, I'm not going to partake in Halloween next year. Let's see how I feel about it. I'm going to make sure my family's safe, we're indoors, having a good day. Because who knows, one day your family goes out and they're one of the victims because a guy decides
and
to...
you know what's crazy? Because they're lockdowns and because it's COVID, right? Less people are obviously out and partying. And that still happened over there in Montreal. So imagine if there wasn't COVID and people were all out, we would have heard way more crazy stories. Especially in 2020 now, the
Anything
craziest
is
stuff
possible.
is becoming a
Yes.
becoming a reality.
A lot of people are living on like, they're on the next place of getting triggered. Like they're we're like we said, hypersensitivity, no foundation, no more God in people's lives. They're living like this, bro, confused.
You know what else?
Getting ready to snap.
Yeah, at LCBO a couple weeks ago, there was a guy who was arguing with someone over social distancing.
Yep.
Ends up shooting the guy. Like, imagine your day like that. You're arguing with someone over something stupid like social distancing. Someone ends up getting shot. So yeah, everyone's at a tipping point now because they're losing their mental health. Right? People don't know what's going on, what to believe. They turn on the news and it's mass hysteria.
Mm-hmm.
It's pandemic numbers. I remember on CNN last week, it was all about the election with the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they said Biden won, they switched it. Now the next day, it's now back to the COVID numbers of how the cases are rising. So you just lose hope. That's why your
Yes.
hope can't be in politics. Your hope for yourself can't be in celebrities. It can't be in all of these things that that play with your emotions. It's pulling you into certain directions where you have no control over, right?
Yes.
So what you're thinking about or what your feelings are towards something, you have no real impact. You think you do with a vote until you see how an election can be rigged. You
Yes.
think your influence and impact can can impact your workplace until you get fired. You think your impact and influence can impact, as a professional, athlete, until what happens? You guys have to boycott a day of games, right? It's all this, like, the public perception in 2020 is like, it's out of this world where, you don't even know why people are doing certain things. There's so many smoke screens right now.
Yes.
And, like, even myself, that's why I can't believe in politicians and I can't believe in these things, because at the end of the day, the only thing that's solid foundation is God.
Yes.
Because God, at the end of the day, once you go face to face with God, all the things that used to worry you here on earth, it's not even going to be on your mind. Like, it's so minuscule. So, like, the things that, that give you anxiety and depression,
the devil wants you to think on those things.
Yes.
And the devil wants you to spend time on that. And keep you busy.
And also, it's not just keeping you busy. He wants that to trickle to others.
Yes.
He wants your negativity. He wants your the feeling of being the victim, all that. He wants you to spread it.
Yes.
That's the real disease. The disease of fear, the disease of control, manipulation, all these things, right? That's what the devil wants you to spread. And it's not just COVID. COVID's what the media wants you to think.
And yeah, media is all culture, baby. The culture... Aaron and I talk about culture to Christ. How much of your time do you spend in culture? And how much do you spend your time in Christ with God? You might not even be a religious person or someone that believes in God at this time. So ask yourself, the fruits of your life, how do you like them right now? Because if you don't have God, you don't have any kind of idea, you're full on culture. You're 100%, like Aaron said, your emotions are your vehicle. Like, you just want to constantly be filled by emotions of yourself, or emotions of hating somebody else or being angry. How much time do you spend in that? Because it is manipulating you, it's controlling you, it's causing you to do things that you really do not want in your life. The lack of the world's showing us that there's a lack of God. The reality is lack of God, a lack of foundation, because the truth is very humbling. The truth will always, I say, set you free, because it takes you away from your emotions. For me, when I read the Word of God, I don't really have emotions. It's a very peaceful feeling. It's convicting sometimes, but it's very humbling, and it keeps me focused on things that actually matter. Relationship with God will make you focus on things that matter. And it'll give you the discernment to understand what's really going on. If people want to talk about this, talk about that, you get it. I think the world wants you to amplify on knowledge, right? It wants to make you really smart. Like, you rather be very smart, get good grades, make a lot of money, you have a lot of success. But wisdom is not seen in today's time. Wisdom is very lacking, and I think we add God into our life more of the Word, understand why. The world is the way it is because governments want to take away the foundation. Like, the way this world is now is nothing compared to it was 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 1,000 years. People would just get murdered to get murdered. The people that I follow in life, even Christians in the Bible, none of them were popular. None of them had a lot of money, and they all were tortured and killed brutally. These are the people that I follow. And we have to understand that we are leading ourselves in a dangerous path if we're following in these leaders, these politicians, these famous celebrities, whatever, that are following popular trends.
The closer you get to God, the less you care about things that you have no control over. Like, firsthand, especially if you're constantly praying and you're constantly, putting your thoughts and emotions out there, and, being thankful, always, like, just being more present with people and present with yourself in like all these different situations, the less you care about, about the things that don't really matter, especially to your family and to your own situation. It's like, if you're always having that feeling of anxiety of like, I gotta be, like, what am I doing right now? I gotta be doing this and that, right? You know where that usually comes from, I find? From social media. When you're always constantly on social media, knowing what other people are always doing, right? Sometimes you know more about other people than you do about yourself. you know more about what someone else is
Eating for breakfast.
Yeah, or like you're so, because you're always looking at what someone else is doing, you forget you got to be doing your own thing, right? And we see that with in so many people. Like, you get caught as a bystander. So especially now when COVID, you have so much free time, where if you go less on the social media, right, and you go more into putting time into your own craft or your own hobby, the thing you're actually passionate about pursuing, where you put it more into the word, into letting God try to work through your life, right? Work on that spiritual relationship first, and your own personal journey. If you allow God to work, that you see it takes over all of those negative emotions that you get from being, filled with all the stuff, all the noise. We call it noise, right? COVID numbers rising, election, this, Trump, this, that. That's all noise.
Votes.
Like,
Yep.
all that it doesn't impact us. Okay, you think you do. You think you think your opinion, your comment on Instagram matters, when literally no one gives a fuck. Okay,
Yeah.
like. Even right now, like when we talk about it, it's different because it's our podcast. And,
Yeah, we're gonna give our opinions. We're gonna give
But our opinions here can't control our emotions, right? Yeah. Yes, we're mad that regions are shut down or this and that, but at the end of the day, like, okay, is me not playing hockey gonna make me go depressed and like lose my sanity? It's like, no, it's not, because like at the end of the day, we have to know how not just to adapt, but see bigger picture
and see the work of God in every situation. You and I talk about that a lot. When things bad happen or crazy things happen, like, what's God telling us this time? And that's why it's important. Aaron says, if you're trying to get out of culture, the only way you can change even the words and the thoughts in your head, you got to put different thoughts and words in your head. If you're constantly getting filtered by Netflix and news and social media, Instagram, that's the conversation that's going on in your head. Those are all the information you have. You need to change the source of information. So that's why when I started reading the Word, if those words are in my mind, I'm now equipped so that I can have to I'm culture dictates the way I think and the way I act. I don't, I have to do these things. I have to go, Aaron said, social media. The reason social media makes you feel like you're lacking something. If you come from a place of lack, if you're doing something because you feel like you're lacking or like you're not good enough, you will lose every time. You need to understand, if you add God into your life, you already have everything. He will then calm you down to get rid of those anxiety, the comparison, the negativity, the depression, and you can actually work on something in peace and joy and understand what God has done in your life, that he gives you the opportunity to do those things and gets you out of culture, out of the noise of media. That's one angle, one narrative. And God is so powerful for you in your life, my life, Aaron's life. He gives discernment. Like, discernment is the ability to understand what is true and what is stronghold and what is what is the difference between the two. And I want to touch on something that happened. Obviously, people in the Christian community know there was a pastor in the Hillsong Church pastor. His name was Carl Lentz, and he was fired for cheating on his wife. And for me, it's like I told you about this, Aaron, and we talked about obviously you don't want to judge someone. You never know what someone's going on in their life, but I said that's why discernment is important, because how somebody lives in their lifestyle, the things they allow to creep in their life. Be careful on who you're looking up to in culture or even in the churches and stuff that might be leading you astray, leading you into think that you can have culture as well as as much as Christ.
You're talking about Bieber's old pastor, right?
So yeah, I thought he was Bieber's pastor now, but apparently he was the one that did baptize him. And he was obviously, it's obviously trending because, from the outside looking in, I don't know the guy, okay? I don't know him, but I see how he dresses, all this stuff. So I'm not surprised when I hear that. I'm like, he lives living in LA. And for me, this is my opinion, okay? If you're a leader, a pastor of a church, you have a higher accountability. You're going to you're going to take on the word of God and spread it. And then I'm sure you're making a living off it, right? So and then you have kids and a wife. It's like, the transgressions of sin. So I say, when you start sinning, like if I start watching pornography and I start lusting and stuff like that, it leads to other things, right? So I'm like, cheating on your wife, I'm like, for me, in my opinion, of course, in my opinion, okay, at what point do you go, when does God check you? When is but that's why I always tell people, be careful, because sometimes culture truly has a bigger influence on someone than Christ does. Even
But you
in-
know, that's why Bieber said in the interview, he said, they're like, oh, so why, when you were first promoting God and talking about your relationship with Jesus, right? Uh, why were you unsure? And he goes, I wasn't 100% dedicated because the influences and the people that I looked up to who were Christians, right? They weren't living what they were teaching me. So that's why when you tell me this about Carl Lenz, that's who Bieber's old pastor was, it makes sense because Bieber, he got married and, you know, he was trying to look for like a positive role model who, you know, he could actually follow and, you know, build with. So when that happens and Bieber, you see that, oh, he left him, there's probably other things behind the scenes
Yes,
where
that
it's
he
like,
saw.
this guy was a bad influence on me, right?
Mhm.
And it makes sense.
And that's why you and I talk about we want to be doing this podcast now. Where, you know, I know there's people watching these videos, listening on audio who've already reached out to us, and we appreciate those really heartfelt messages because we know there's people struggling, going through hard times.
But this also holds us accountable. Like the same way you
Yes.
said, once you're a pastor, once we decided to do this,
Yeah.
you know that, you know, now it's even, you're going to get more hate. You're
Yeah,
going to get more people who are going to be like, oh, you're in culture to Christ, though. Why are you swearing?
yeah.
Why are you doing this and that, right? You
You're-
really
you're-
got it.
I've had people message me saying I'm gonna go to hell, and I should delete certain videos. And you know, I always tell them, man, like we have to understand and we have to be able to not live in someone else's shoes, but understand we had different paths in life, right? And a lot of times I get people that there are certain people in Christian communities that like live in the Christian household and they just, you know, grew up in it, and then they never lived in the culture and lived in devilish lifestyles and the hockey culture itself. It's like you need to understand, if you lived in that stuff and understand that we're trying to be bare and vulnerable, and we don't have to, like, Jesus came and he's there, like our grace is because of Jesus. I can't work better to get to heaven. It's God's grace. I'm going to make mistakes. And the point I try to tell people is that I want to get people that were in my culture, that maybe that lived a certain lifestyle I lived, to be like, you know what? Alex did it, you know, played hockey with the boys, whatever. He did the lifestyle like this. He used to be in the clubs partying. You know, yeah, he's not speaking politically correct. He's not speaking Christianese perfect. Maybe I can get to know who this Jesus guy is. That's what I think about. I don't think about appeasing other Christians who've been in it for 20 years and they have, yo, I'm so good at being Christian and you're swearing. How could you do that? It's like, you think I'm focusing on you? Like I always say, Jesus went to the lowest. Jesus didn't go to the richest people in the church and be like, wow, you guys have so many things. You're so popular. He went to the guy with leprosy, the guy that couldn't see, the woman that felt ashamed because she was a prostitute. He went to the lowest. You know what I mean? So we understand who Jesus is. It's not, I'm never saying I'm going to be Jesus. It's following his message, following how he, you know, he forgave us and he saw the potential of our lives.
Some of the
So-
people too who claim that they don't believe in God, but their God is money, right?
Yeah.
Like I know so many people who that's the one thing, that's the only thing they care about. It's the only
Yep.
thing they chase, right?
Yeah.
And you don't believe in God, but what does your money say? In God we
Mhm.
trust. So, you know, the person that
What is your
invented
money?
the
Yep.
person that invented the thing that you chase and put so much emphasis on grinding for,
Mhm.
right? Says in God we trust, but you don't believe in God, but you just believe in the money. Right? It's a contradiction.
Yep.
And that's a problem with like what you were saying earlier. It goes down to so many people get triggered so easily,
Yeah.
right?
And,
And,
they
they're,
don't,
they're the first ones to point out your flaws and try to you know, point hate towards you or try to bring other people to hate you,
Mhm.
because that's the world we live in now.
Yes.
It's like if someone is bored or if someone just doesn't like what you're saying or has a different opinion than you, they're gonna attack.
Yes. And I always want you guys listening, if that's you, or maybe you're doing that right now, you worship culture. You love culture, because culture wants you to hate someone who's not living your lifestyle. And if you are a Christian and you see things you don't like, you need to love your enemy, love that person, and pray for that person. Because we're all broken people. We're all sinners. We all fall short of the glory. But God gave his grace. He brought us his only son. I think it's good to close on that. And yeah, we have, we are spreading too much hate, and it's time to spread more love. Maybe we'll do an episode on love. We got a verse of the day because that's what always matters, is to end on the word of God. Trump 2020. I'm gonna see if I missed anything. Yeah, I think Yeah, you know, I think the whole Kanye thing, the Kanye running for president, 2024 he'd go for, and then have Trump be his vice president. I think that'd be good
crazy.
television. That'd be good television.
But you know,
Holy cow!
did you hear in the Rogan interview too? Kanye's like, I don't even like how I have to pick whether I'm going to represent the Democratic Party or Republican. Why does that automatically creates division?
Can he just pick Jesus Christ? Can he just
But see,
I'm
what his
running
point
for
is?
Jesus Christ. Yeah,
His point is, why does it always have to be blue versus red, like Bloods versus Crips?
yeah.
And you see that background already. It's like yeah, it's true. Why do you always have to pick what party you represent? Because that already creates division.
Yes.
That creates people to be like, are they for you or against you? Why can't he? He's like, why can't he just run as Kanye West himself? He doesn't like. Why do I need a party behind me? But you see, like that type of mentality, like that's a forward thinking.
Yes.
The system has been the same for how many hundreds of years, right?
It's always
But yeah,
left a bit, right a bit, left a bit. Let's have a balance. Yeah, I think Kanye's onto something.
I hope he wins on.
I know you.
And if it's not Kanye who wins, like I don't want to be biased. If someone else that's younger, that's like a visionary, I'd want to see them. I want to see someone different.
How young? How young would you go?
Dude, 30.
30 years old.
Yeah.
No.
Because for me, I'd be
Okay,
like
30-year-old kid and
It
family.
depends. I don't like putting an age on it. I just want to see resume. What have you done? Right? What have you
Yeah.
done up to that age where you're running?
What is he? What would you look for in terms of that resume?
Like everything from his background in business, right? What are his political goals? Like what are the things that he envisions for the country, right? That's what you like. Andrew Yang, did you hear about him? Who's running? He's pretty young. I think he's like 40 something.
Okay.
But he was saying that he wanted to give every family a certain amount of money, no matter what, because that's never been done before. Where it's like he basically wants to value money in a way where if you give every family a certain amount,
Like the
you
opportunity.
just-
Give the
you just
opportunity
give,
first.
Give the money to people, right? No matter your circumstance, you get a certain amount, right?
Yeah.
And that just eliminates, single mothers or people always feeling the stress of like, oh, I need to, because that's when crimes get committed. That's
Yeah.
when people have to, like do crazy things.
He's
So
American?
he's
Guy's
American.
Okay.
He's like, we have so much, we have enough, we can. And the people didn't want that to happen because he's like, oh, he's going to devalue the currency. If he's giving everyone money, then the value goes down. But who only thinks like that? The elite who have so much money that that's who cares about it. But if you guys came from poor households or you guys came from poverty, you would understand how much that would mean to your family growing up. Eating like some of these kids, like they're saying that they only have 2 fresh meals a day, two fresh meals a week. The rest of the food is it's food banks. It's like
Food stamps, all that stuff.
But it's like that's how Andrew Yang's like. Why can't we just give currency? Right, give a monthly amount to every family, so they don't have to worry about stressing over that the basic necessities.
And how much did he say? Like how much it was, or just like a general number?
I think it was. I don't want to put a number, but like maybe a couple thousand, or it's like nothing crazy.
Like was it like a one lump sum for the life, or like every month?
I think it was like every month. He was saying. Yeah, I saw it on Breakfast Club.
The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, but he was actually pretty popular too. But he obviously didn't go far enough because it also depends on your brand, like how many followers. It's sad, but you need a strong following to win now. Like you need.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Trump's following.
Yeah.
Right. You look at Obama. All these people, they have big followings.
Yeah, it's true. You need a platform because you need to be the. Yes.
That's why I think Kanye has a big following.
Yeah.
So like if Kanye, he just
how
has
many
to,
how many votes did he already get? Because he had Joe Rogan. And I saw that we watched that podcast. Like Kanye definitely paid him some amount of money so he can put that whole the ballot thing at the end of it. I'm like, look at Kanye. He's just like, that's why I'm like, he's so much more respectful in this interview than he was with freaking Nick Cannon. Like he was just more like, because like
but
obviously
Joe Rogan has enough money where he wouldn't need to charge him. Like,
you don't think he charged him for that, like the votes and stuff?
Because you know how much Joe Rogan already makes from his Spotify.
You got
$100
million for the
so
contract.
it's like the amount that Kanye can pay him for that. They're doing both of each other a service. Like him being on Joe Rogan's show brings viewers to the platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Rogan giving him the platform also helps Kanye. So vice versa, they both can create revenue streams from that. But yeah, it's just like
How many votes did he get? Remember I showed that video? How many votes did he end up getting?
I don't know the exact amount.
He probably got like 40,000, 100,000.
Who cares? The whole system is it's
all
corrupt
rigged anyways
right?
to do mail-in votes.
Yeah.
Imagine Kanye West does mail-in votes. The whole world votes for Kanye.
It should just be in person.
Yes.
You know what's crazy too, because Trump before he called this whole play happening.
Yeah.
He was talking about the mail-in votes. He's like,
There's
no
fraud.
mail-in votes, because he already knew, right? Once you're at that position, you know you're
Trump has scammed people his whole life, right?
1,200 votes. That's how much Kanye got.
1,200 votes Kanye got.
In what though? What region was it?
Wyoming.
It has to be in a certain region.
1,200 votes. Yeah.
No, 1,200's nothing.
So it's not a lot,
1,200
yeah.
is nothing.
I think he got more than that. If definitely from a Joe Rogan podcast, like he definitely got some votes.
But verse of the day, here it goes. Matthew chapter 10, verse 22. Goes, all men will hate you because of me, but he who stands firm to the end will be saved. So you have to know the hate
Amen.
comes, right? Once you stand for God,
Yes.
we felt it already.
Amen. You start for standing for God. That's the biggest, that's the greatest sign, guys. So if you stand for Jesus, stand for God, and you're also spreading it and you're vocal, the hate is going to come. Man will hate you.
But he who stands firm to the end will be saved.
Amen.
And that's what we all need in a time like this.
I need saving.
We need to be saved.
Somebody save me. I don't care.
So shout out Amir. He just said Kanye. He had 60,000 votes.
Kanye
total.
West, 60,000, baby.
That's so little.
All right.
But you know why
let's
too?
call it. Hey, let's call it now, so we can be. We'll be famous for it. Kanye West 2024.
But you know how he had to. You know why 60,000 so low too? Because you had to write his name in. His name wasn't on the ballot itself.
They
You
had
had
to
to
write his
physically
name?
write. Yeah,
That's-
remember he
that's-
says it.
Man,
You have
that's
to.
impressive.
And people aren't like they're not rating Kanye.
60,000 people. That's a lot, man. Still, I understand the numbers, but like, you already have.
But you know why? You know what's
he didn't
messed?
have. But he didn't run. Like he didn't do anything.
He had no campaign.
Yeah, he had no campaign. 60,000.
But you know why that's probably impressive too? Because it might not sound impressive because you hear, oh, Trump and Biden had like 80 million votes or whatever.
Yeah.
But first of all, those are fake numbers too.
Yep.
So it's like maybe 60,000 actually is a lot, because if you have like millions of fake mail-in votes, then
You know what? You and I, either you or me will run for prime minister one day. Yeah. I got the face for it. I'll do it. I'm like, what's up, everybody? I care about people and the world, but I'll make deals with other countries for billions of dollars.
you just have to be a smooth liar.
Smooth liar.
That's how you get
I used to
into
be good
politics.
at that. I used to be good at that. I'll just go back, right? Then I'll burn in hell. I rebuke that. I repent. I'm sorry. Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also on Apple Podcasts. Leave a review for the Q&A episode coming up. Thank you, guys.
Peace.